Hello, I'm Claire Branson and welcome to another podcast from the Smart Plan book. I'm joined again by Jackie Rigby, and this morning Jackie Rigby is going to take us through P for product, which I know is a theme that Jackie's really passionate about, and I'm really glad that you were able to share your thoughts with us. So Jackie, do you want to just outline first of all why this is an important theme for you?
Yeah, I mean, I've spent 20 years in transformation, and particularly the last 4 years, really discovered the world of products, which is quite late for some people. I mean, products and agile thinking's been around since 2001 with the Agile Manifesto, but before that it came out of post-war Japan with lean technology and just in time in Japanese manufacturing. But the thing I like about products is its agility. And I think in the world of uncertainty that we're living in now, businesses being able to be more agile, applying some of the principles of products, even if they're not worrying about software, is a really positive thing for businesses to grow and move forward.
Yeah, and as you know, although I've worked primarily in project delivery and change delivery, I like applying some of these principles to any project. I think they're useful there as well. So should we look at your first quote?
Yeah. So I love this. I love this quote. You know, this is IBM. Tom Watson, the founder of IBM. If you want to succeed faster, then make more mistakes. You know, we're brought up fearing failure. We're brought up about being right, not wrong. But actually, this is brilliant. And I think with that mentality, then actually what happens is that you test things and you learn and you make mistakes, you learn from mistakes, and they teach you more for the future. And that is what agility is all about. So I love that quote from Tom.
Yeah, Watson. And particularly important now because
so important.
Who knows what's the right thing until we test it. And your other quote.
Yes, and trying to predict the future at the moment. I mean, you know, we're not particularly good at predicting the future because we can't actually time travel. But at the moment, then trying to predict the future is really difficult. And what's happening is people are living in this bubble of uncertainty about what's going on. So I love this quote. It's very, very of the time. If uncertainty is unacceptable to you, it turns into fear. If it's perfectly acceptable, it turns into increased aliveness, alertness, and creativity. Now, our brains naturally are drawn towards seeking certainty. That's how we're built, unfortunately, as humans. And that leads to fear and anxiety in our emotional center of our brain. But actually, if you embrace that uncertainty, you embrace that fear, then you find great creativity and great innovation. And we find our way out of the uncertainty that we're in at the moment. So I think, you know, though that's an old quote, it's of the moment.
It is very much so.
Yeah.
So let's look at the principles for you behind good product thinking. So
yeah, so this is from experience over the last few years and reflecting on all my time in transformation. And these are the things that come through to me that can be applied, as you said, Claire, in any project, any piece of change, any transformation. Don't worry about being agile. Don't worry about if you're building software. The principles are really sound in terms of being able to focus on the right thing. First thing is the customer. So deliberately first, you know, understand your customer, listen to calls, go and talk to people who are customer facing, map out the customer journey, use your customer as your guide, because your customer is the person that's bringing in the money at the end of the day. And actually understanding what they want and how they think is really important to guiding any form of change, any form of project.
Yeah, and as you know, for me, in my sort of project world, I apply a lot of those principles to the internal customer. So actually who the project's involved with and who the project's being delivered to. So I think, yeah, you just can't go wrong.
No, absolutely right. Internal and external customer.
Yeah.
Problem solving. So again, thinking with the customer in mind, what is the problem that the customer has? What's their job to be done? What's the problem that you're trying to solve for the customer? Not for the business, but for the customer. Again, whether that be an internal customer, whether that be an external customer, it's a really good way to phrase the problem statements for the customer. Engage cross-functional teams. Now, engage is a deliberate word here. It's more interactive, I think, than communication. So this is about actually using the whole of the business skills and expertise to solve that problem. Many people choose to leave risk, regulation, legal outside the loop, or finance outside the loop of problem solving. They quite often really bring a really good perspective, and also prevent you working on things that actually they're going to say no to at the end of the day. So get the team to work cross-functionally, because they bring different skills and experiences and knowledge
Definitely.
that give you a better solution to your problem.
Yeah, definitely.
And I know you're really
That's me. Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah, I just love buzzing around to everywhere, getting everyone involved. Yeah.
Yeah. Now this is a classic product feature. Focus on the outcomes. A lot of time in projects, people worry about the system or the process, or something or the product feature or the functionality. That's not saying those are not important, but that's not the driver. Think about the outcomes. So the outcomes are defined by something that drives a change in human behavior. So think about the human behavioral outcomes you want from that piece of work, thinking about customers particularly, then that will actually drive the best results, because you're focused on changing human behavior, which is what you're trying to do when you are doing any form of change, any form of project.
Yeah, and again, for me, relating it to project principles, it's what's the outcome for the project, and that's one of the ways I like to drive the questions of documentation. Let's not do documentation unless there's an outcome to it. It's not a list of outputs, it's what's the outcome for what we're trying to do.
Spot on, Claire.
And your last one?
The last one is test, learn, iterate.
Yeah.
So, and again, in the world that we're living in at the moment, it's even more important to do this. So, we struggle taking risk. So what the principles allow you to do is to have a hypothesis, test something that's quite low grade. You can test a web page, you can test something that's half built, you can draw something on a piece of paper, you can make a model out of plasticine, you can role model a service, test it, get some feedback from customers, learn from it, and iterate over and over and over again. Don't sit and try and come up with a perfect solution and then launch it, because the chances are it won't be what the customer wants. So it reduces your risk, it allows you to learn along the way, and gives you a better outcome.
Yeah, so always been true, but actually now we're in a changing landscape. So those skills, those principles are really important. So those are the principles, but of course we can all have a list of principles, but we actually need to be able to deliver on them. So that's where you've got to really drive through the right behaviours.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's the sort of the what, if you like. This is the how. So this is about the types of behaviours, the types of attitudes and actions that you want from your people. So recruit on this basis, choose your top teams on this basis to really try and champion and drive the product thinking behaviours. So people being happy in the grey. Now it's quite hard actually. This is again about people who are comfortable with uncertainty, comfortable with ambiguity, and actually are happy within that environment to actually flourish. Go back to the Eckhart Tolle quote. That's the sort of people that you need, who are comfortable in the grey and will find their way through it and see it as exciting.
Yeah. Go on, say it, Jackie. It's me.
Yes, I did think of you when I was summarising these, Claire. This is about asking lots of questions, and I don't mean silly questions. I mean just being inquisitive, being inquisitive with your internal customers, being inquisitive with your external customers, constantly trying to understand why, what's going on, how do they feel, why do they feel like that, what's happening there, those types of things. Keep asking questions and never make assumptions. It's really, really important.
Yeah, I think for me it's always a partnership. I've got tools and techniques, but actually the people I'm working with in the business and the organisation, they kind of have vital information. Without that, the two coming together, either way is not going to work.
Yeah, so right. And then the third one, so true grit, and this it's not the film. When you're going through change, it's hard. Those are people who work in change, any form of project, will recognise how hard it is, how tough it is to keep going when things go wrong. When you test a hypothesis and find out that actually, it wasn't what you thought, and maybe you've got to go back to the drawing board. Working with cross-functional teams is really difficult because there's tensions, there's differences of opinions. Just having that grit to keep going every day and believing in what you're doing and believing in the principles and behaviours, you need somebody that's gritty.
Yeah.
Ferrets, yeah.
Explain.
So just keep digging. Make sure that you're doing the research with customers so you understand what's going on. Don't make that assumption. Keep digging down, keep digging to the layers so that actually you can really get underneath the skin of what's going on. Test small things so that you get isolated view of what might matter to people. And ferret internally, ferret externally, ferret in the environments. Just keep ferreting. A leadership. Now, this isn't about your top team. This isn't about saying, actually, we need everyone at the top team to be leaders and forget everybody else. This is about everyone in the organisation showing leadership. I'm a strong believer that everyone is a leader. It's not to do with the title. So show that leadership in supporting teams, raising issues, solving problems, sharing ideas, and take that self-responsibility to help move the team forward. We are all leaders.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's really important. I think it's also a way of really acknowledging people have something to bring to the party. So for different things, they can lead. So I think having gone through the behaviours, what for me is really there is that you can read the principles. You can go, yeah, I get the principles, but really you have to have all those behaviours in place, as we were saying earlier. But I think all of them are there. I think the one that really stands out for me, although I'm very keen on that principle of everyone's a leader, but I think it's the true grit, because that's the behaviour that you need, because this is about testing and seeing what happens. Yeah, it is that resilience and actually everyone feeling that. And so I think it's a real partnership between the principles and the behaviours, really. And the true grit is probably what sums it up, the key one there for me.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. It's a lot of resilience that you need in any form of change.
Yeah, I agree. Well, yeah, that's true. I mean, yeah, whatever you're doing, true. And again, it's interesting, isn't it, how all of the things you've talked about really are what we could have been talking about 6 months ago, 9 months ago, a year ago, but actually they seem, this is really such a good approach for things now, both the principles and the behaviours. So do you want to just talk through your 3 key takeaways?
Yeah, so 3 key takeaways. So the first one is tame your fear. So uncertainty drives fear in the human part of our brain. So look after it, just put it to one side, focus on the rational, find ways to actually tame it rather than succumb to it. It's really important, because then that allows you to actually move forward. Product principles, they really do help support through uncertainty. So I'd really encourage people to think about applying those principles through this uncertain time particularly. And then the how, the product behaviours, they really do help with problem solving and innovation, and we really need innovation to help us grow and find our way out of the situation we're in. It's a great opportunity to create a new vision, a new way of working, new products and services for customers, because they've got different needs. So the timing of this actually bizarrely couldn't be any better, Claire.
Yeah, no, as I say, it's interesting, isn't it? I think it's that thing, isn't it? A good idea is always a good idea.
Yeah.
And in this instance, I think the good idea got even better, really, with the situation that we're in now. So, as always, Jackie, thank you personally for always sharing your ideas and thoughts and enthusiasm with me, but also for the podcast. And I know you are naturally a collaborative person, so people can find you on LinkedIn and talk about this and other subjects close to your heart. You're always posting and have interesting and engaging articles, so follow Jackie. She's well worth a read. And also, in terms of comments and sharing your views on this particular topic, this gets posted on LinkedIn, but there's also the Smart Plan YouTube channel, so you can follow us on there and you can leave your comments, and this is all about sharing what we think now. I mean, that's very much the Smart Plans. It's learning by experience. That's our phrase, that's our approach on things, and that's a shared experience, which at the minute is really invaluable. So Jackie, anything before we go?
No, thank you ever so much, Claire. I've really enjoyed it.
As always, me too. Thanks, Jackie.